A great story takes any gaming experience to the next level. For example, look at Last of Us, Uncharted 4, and Red Dead 2. PlayStation provides the gamers an all-out immersive experience by giving them a blend of nice story, insane graphics, and stunning visuals. In this video, I have mentioned the 21 best story games that will leave you completely satisfied. Number 21, Detroit Become Human. It is perfect in every aspect, the story, the graphics, and gameplay too, as it's an interactive choices matter game. Detroit provided the fans with a futuristic experience and a heart-touching storyline. I couldn't have expected a robot to have human feelings towards the end of this game. I guess Detroit changes your perspective on the whole AI robotic stuff. I am not going to give any spoilers, but I am sure that you will thank me after playing this game. The short story of Detroit is that you play as an android, and throughout your entire playthrough, you make several choices and decisions. All these actions or choices put the faith of both androids and mankind in your hands. The game shows the story of 3 androids who each have their own goals, and all these android stories are interlinked. Now, Detroit is a game that anyone can play no matter what genre do you like. You must make peace with the whole sci-fi futuristic open world, and the game will provide you with a touching storyline. Almost every review of this game is 5 stars. From characters to voiceovers and graphics to gameplay, every feature of this game is worthy of appreciation. Multiple endings also deserve a mention, and there are literally a lot of them. The amount of choices you can make in this game is just insane. Number 20, Last of Us Remake. Last of Us is a perfect example of how much a game's story is important. Think about this, even though graphics and visuals are better in the second part, players still always talk about the first Last of Us. So, having a good story overshadows all the other aspects of a game. The relationship development between the 2 main characters in this game is really touching. I honestly admired everything after finishing the game. There's also one feature that I'd like to point out which not a lot of players mention, is that the game takes you into several different areas or locations throughout your playthrough, such as the suburbs, sewers, snowy areas, jungles, and much more. All this traveling gives a beautiful immersive feeling, and the relation between Joel and Ellie is a cherry on top. The gameplay and combat deserve a lot of credit, as it's neither too much nor too little. There's a fair amount of combat in the first part, which also provides a sense of realism. Multiple weapons and different ways to kill enemies makes the game engaging. You can switch between complete stealth mode or straight up guns blazing. Number 19, Horizon Zero Dawn. I have talked about Horizon in several other videos as well. The game comes up in almost every top 10 list, whether it be good graphics, best visuals, or gameplay, and overall the storyline. I remember when the game first came out, I never thought that it will be able to gain such recognition. Horizon also managed to get a sequel faster than other games, and even the sequel titled as Forbidden West is well made. If you want something more of a big, stunning open world with breathtaking visuals and a touch of sci-fi enemies, then Horizon will be your prime choice. I'm not a very big fan of futuristic sci-fi genre, but this game combined all the features and made me feel like that I'm in a fantasy open world. The main story is well made, and there are no major plot twists. It's much rather that you gradually understand the story and pick up the pieces in your playthrough. The only downside is that it's way too big. 100% completion of Horizon will take a lot of your time, not to mention the DLC. Such attention to detail is second only to Red Dead 2 and a few other games. Number 18, Marvel's Spider-Man. All the 3 games are awesome. Spider-Man 2018 was the reboot of Spider-Man games in the modern consoles. I think that most of you have already played this game, so I won't go too deep into the story description. Now, in terms of a good storyline, first part is better than the second. I believe that the second installment only has more improved graphics or visuals, and the Venom thing is also the cause of all the hype. Gameplay-wise, Spider-Man 2 is better, but the story, I feel, is better in Spider-Man 2018. Though it's just an opinion, also, there are already a lot of Spider-Man games in the last few decades. So, I guess this one could have been a nice choice as a final tribute to the series. Number 17, Uncharted 4. My first introduction to the Uncharted series. Without a doubt, I can say that if you haven't played this one, then you're missing out on a lot of cool stuff. Uncharted 4 gives a true sense of adventure. The game perfectly depicts what it means to find hidden treasures and what kind of problems the seekers may encounter. I'm not gonna say much about the graphics because I have already talked about them in another video. In my opinion, unlike other games or companies, Uncharted 4 was the best ending or tribute to Nathan Drake's journey. I'm glad that Naughty Dog ended Nate's story with the 4th installment, but I don't want the Uncharted series to end as a whole. But anyways, the multiple areas such as islands, jungles, towns, mansions, all these made the gamers feel like adventurers and gave them a feeling that they're looking for hidden treasures while going from one clue to another. There are also some well-written characters in the game. Uncharted games will always be my favorite. This is one of those rare game series where every game is just perfect. Now I just want Naughty Dog to release the Nathan Drake collection on PC too. It was weird to just directly port the last part instead of going in a chronological order. Number 16. Days Gone. It's one of the best zombie game ever. Despite being a long game, you will still feel that the game is engaging and will never give you the feeling of quitting. Although, those few tailing missions where you must keep an eye on the scientist were highly boring. The story of Days Gone is quite satisfying as it blends the main character finding his wife and the truth of zombie virus. There are also a few touching scenes as the main character remembers their happiest moments throughout the journey. Days Gone is perhaps the best open-world zombie game. You will feel an absolute beast while playing this game simply because of your bike. The developers did a great job providing the players an opportunity to cruise through the open world on a badass bike. Major highlights of Days Gone are the availability of weapons and customizations, like upgrades, overall story, the open world, and the characters. Number 15. God of War. Now, how many of you remember the hype around this game? Tell me about your favorite memories from God of War series. The 2018 installment acted as a reboot for the original God of War series. I really like the idea that new-gen fans will also be able to enjoy the game on modern consoles. The story was perfect as it takes the players through distinct landscapes while showing the relation between father and son. It was also great to see Atreus' reactions after seeing how famous his father actually is. The best way to describe the importance of God of War 2018 is that fans have gotten a new game in the series after a long time. This majorly affected the sales along with all the new content and insane graphics that the game provided.
Chris, just give the word.
Number 14. Persona 3 and Persona 5. Now wait, if you have made it this far, then you can surely skip this one as I'm not the best person to describe the Persona series. The only reason I mention this game in the list is because even though I have never played the Persona series, as they are still on my playlist, I still knew that these games have the best storyline. So, as someone who has no experience, I also resorted to the internet. After all the reviews and articles, I have come to realize that the third and fifth installment are the best in the series in terms of overall story. Honestly, I love JRPG, but Persona series is different. In fact, I don't like the insane amount of visual text stuff that these games contain. We know that all the JRPG games have some amount of story shown in the form of text, but I believe that Persona takes things further. Also, the games are way too long. So, putting up with visual texts and side content dialogues for many hours becomes quite boring. Don't get me wrong, I know that some of you are fans of the series, or will say that I need to play first and then give a review. However, it all depends on you guys whether you want to take my opinion for this or test these games by yourself. I will talk about them better once I play them for myself. To be honest, there are literally a lot of games on my playlist that I have to finish. Number 13. Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. Now that the sequel is coming up in the next few weeks, I think it's the perfect time to talk about the first Hellblade game. Truthfully, this was the game that I played on my low-end laptop many years ago. And hey, the game looked amazing from the outside but ended up quite slow-paced, boring, and disappointing. This was my review while playing this game as a 15-year-old. However, times have changed now. Hellblade is a badass game and quite linear. It will only take you max 10 hours to finish the story. However, despite all the pros and cons, I want to say that Hellblade is not for everyone. Trust me, I'm saying it again. It's not for occasional fun-loving gamers. Hellblade clearly shows traumatic events, cults, psychotic horrors, and dismembered body parts. So, unless you don't want a good traumatizing horror experience, don't decide to play this game. Otherwise, you may feel bored and will instantly drop it. Number 12. Sekiro. This game also got Game of the Year award. Sekiro is my all-time favorite from software game, even better than Elden Ring. I am a huge Shinobi fan, so I loved everything in this game. Though, Tsushima beats Sekiro in terms of graphics and open world. However, Sekiro is a game that can be played several times in New Game Plus modes. Players will be able to spend hundreds of hours defeating several bosses. I'm telling you, the enemies in this game are no jokes. Now, let's talk about the story. The biggest reason why I put Sekiro in this list is because of how much devotion is shown in the story. The main character even betrays the Shinobi moral code to protect his lord, Kuro. The multiple endings take the cake. Also, unlike Dark Souls series, the areas in this game are much livelier and beautifully designed. Remember the Fountainhead Palace? I think every hardcore gamer needs to play Sekiro at least once. Depending on the choices you make, the ending will change, and to get the best ending you would have to collect a few items and even face off against the serpent. Number 11. Plague Tale: Innocence. What a surprise this game was. Plague Tale is a game that is only for story-loving and immersive environment fans. There is not much intense action, but the game is rather slow-paced and more stealth-focused. The highlight is the relationship between the two main characters and how realistic killing feels in the game. Unlike other games where you can get guns and swords, in Plague Tale you mostly must rely on stones, takedowns, slingshot, and environment traps. Also, the not-so-turn-based feature deserves credits too, as the game lets you play as little kid to sometimes solve puzzles or make way to progress further. If you can make peace with the slow-paced, more realistic stealth-focused game, then don't look further, as Plague Tale Innocence will be a decent choice. There's also a recently released sequel which improves upon the first installment. Nevertheless, story-wise this game is at its peak.
Oh my god. Are they all dead?
Number 10. Until Dawn. This game was well made despite being an early PS4 game. The only downsides are the dialogues, which could have been better. They are not that bad, but at the same time not good either. Another issue is that the characters need extra rework. Despite all this, Until Dawn is one of the best horror games of 2015. It also gives a hard time to some of the recent horror games. This one is not like Resident Evil kind of action gameplay, but it's a rather choice-based game. All your decisions and choices sometimes have instant impact, unlike other choice-based games. You can say that it's a flawed but a fun experience game. The story can be considered as 50-50. I only wanted to mention this as a lot of us are still sleeping on this horror gem. The best thing about this is that it always keeps you on your toes because any character can die at any moment without warning. There's also a ridiculous amount of gory death scenes such as dismembered body parts, completely snapped jaws, blood, decapitations, and much more. In short, Until Dawn will be an amazing horror experience. Number 9. Life is Strange. Life is Strange is an episodic adventure game. It's slightly like games of the Telltale series. Your choices affect the outcome of the game and make subtle and huge changes throughout. You feel empathy for the characters in the world, and whilst handling mature themes such as depression, the game grips you to your seat. It is amazing. The writers are on par with some of the best TV shows and films out there. It makes you question every choice you make. As a player, you feel like you affect the relationships between the characters. The music and art design are unique and aesthetically pleasing, which is a nice change from the usual games I play. The voice acting's brilliant. Finally, I must end by saying how much I recommend this game. I've experienced nothing like it before. The soundtrack is gorgeous. There are emotional and touching scenes with some surprisingly heavy topics and beautiful scenery throughout. I highly recommend trying this game out. There is not much ongoing action, but it's a rather pleasantly highly story-focused game. Number 8. Final Fantasy VII. The OG fans will say that I'm wrong to choose the 7th installment from the series for the best story ever, but I only played a few Final Fantasy games. So, I may not have a perfect idea about which one has the best storyline. Though, in my opinion, Final Fantasy VII has all the classic characters such as Cloud, Tifa, and Sephiroth. Also, the overall gameplay action and semi-open world is better in this game. The newest remake increases the importance of the 7th part in the series. It shows how great Final Fantasy VII was. The main story is more of an uproar against the villains. Let's just say a battle to reclaim freedom. Sephiroth also acts as an iconic villain. I believe that the 7th installment will be a great choice to get into the series. The newest remakes enhanced all the visuals, details, and graphics. New gen fans will also be able to experience the classic series in the modern consoles, even on PS5. Low-key, you can also try the 15th part as it also features a mesmerizing open world. If only the developers start to publish remakes of all the best Final Fantasy games, it would be life-changing. Number 7. Batman Arkham Knight. I still remember when I tried to run this game on my old laptop and was shocked to see the file size. Arkham City and Arkham Knight are the only two best games in the series. Both games mark a specific era for the Batman games. Arkham Knight acted as a well-made final ending to the iconic series. Besides having a cool story, the game is significantly improved in terms of graphics and world design. Having a Batmobile is a dream for players like me. Summary of the story will be that after the events of Arkham City, Gotham finds itself under the grip of a vengeful Scarecrow as he tries to dismantle Batman's image. The overall combat, stealth, and gliding mechanics have helped elevate the series throughout its run. Batman Arkham Knight is a dramatic finale and an explosive finish to a beloved series. There could be a chance that the developers will decide to make a new Batman game, but it will only be possible if they are running out of money because these days a lot of new DC superheroes are coming up. Number 6. Resident Evil 4. This one is much better than Resident Evil 2. The 4th installment was a complete change for the franchise. Several new mechanics were introduced in the game. Up until the 4th part, the Resident Evil series was mostly about stealth, horror, and puzzles. but this time the developers focused more on the action combat part, and truthfully it did remarkably well. The game provided the fans with a balanced experience of combat and spooky environments. Resident Evil 4 is my favorite game from the franchise. Leon is a well-written protagonist, and that's the only reason you need to consider playing Resident Evil series. The 8th part may be graphically well made, but it's the original fan-favorite main character that counts. The all-out action in this game felt really satisfying. The blend of horror and spooky environments, along with the thrill of blasting zombies' heads, was an intense experience. Number 5 on my list is Yakuza 0, a game I really love. It has an awesome story, great combat, a world that pulls you in, and characters with deep stories. It starts off slow, but once you meet the main bad guys, things really get going. If you like anime and crime stories, you'll love Yakuza 0. I give it a 9 out of 10 because it's so fun and has lots of cool moments. Even though the map is a bit small, it's packed with fun stuff to do. You can race toy cars, sing and dance in rhythm games, run a cabaret club, and manage a business. There are also many different side missions, like helping a girl escape from a cult or teaching a dominatrix how to be better at her job. The game is full of activities, and each one is well made. The developers really thought about every part of this game. Yakuza 0 isn't just fun to play, it also has a great story, which isn't common in many games. Number 4, Elden Ring. It's always confusing to mention which From Software game is the best. Nevertheless, Elden Ring managed to combine everything that the From Software is known for and made it significantly better. The game is like a package deal of visuals, soundtracks, graphics, open world, enemies, and a good storyline with multiple endings. I know that some of you are still playing the game even after finishing the main story. Also, who can forget about the upcoming DLC? To be honest, there is no standalone Dark Souls game that can be considered as the best story game. Bloodborne is not worthy of mentioning until it is made available for next gen. So, we are pretty much left with Sekiro and Elden Ring. Also, unlike other games, Elden Ring can be a nice choice if you plan on getting into From Software games. Number 3, Ghost of Tsushima. What can I say? The perfect game that has everything. I can confidently say that whenever someone mentions about Ultimate Samurai game, Ghost of Tsushima will surely come on top. There can never be an open-world samurai experience like Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima gave everything to the fans that they can ever hope for from an open-world ninja-style game. In fact, even someone who is not a fan of samurai games will surely come to appreciate the beauty of the open world and gameplay mechanics. Sekiro is the best shinobi game in terms of gameplay, while Tsushima is the best if we talk about graphics and open world. The story of this game is about honor and moral samurai code. It was great to see main character Jin reclaiming his land and helping his people while learning new skills and becoming better side by side. Number 2, Red Dead Redemption 2. I know that at this point everyone over-exaggerates RDR2, but we just can't stop. This Rockstar gem is mind-blowing. Also, this video is not a classic PlayStation story game, it's an all-time best story game. So, obviously Red Dead 2 will get its place. I don't usually cry during games. In fact, I never imagined that a game would make me feel this connected and emotional, but Red Dead 2 broke all the doors. By the end of the game, you will absolutely miss all the characters and moments. It's a game where you can never relive the same moments even in your second playthrough. It's a one-time experience. Riding with the gang were some of my favorite memories from the game. Despite having a good story, Red Dead 2 offers an insane amount of detailed content and stunning visuals. The absence of modern vehicles made traveling more fun and engaging. The game makes you feel like an absolute Wild West beast. I will do anything just to experience a fresh start in Red Dead 2 without knowing the storyline. It's the best Rockstar game of all time. Before I reveal my number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions. Silent Hill 2 Remake. Shadow of Colossus. Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yes, they are all.
Number 1, Witcher 3. I mean, you saw it coming, right? How can I finish this list without mentioning Witcher 3? Though, there is no main reason why I put this game on the top spot. I just simply like this game over any other games in this list. The story is amazing, but all the other features complemented the overall story and made the gaming experience intense. Witcher 3 made the players felt very connected to its open world. The number of side quests that you can do in this game is insane. All these side quests and even the main missions make you talk to other NPCs or visit several other areas. This way you feel more in sync with the open world. The other games provide you with an open world, but Witcher 3 kind of forces you to interact with it and explore every corner. The books and the live-action series indicates how big of an impact Witcher has on the entertainment business. Also, both Heart of Stone and Blood Wine DLC deserves a lot of appreciation.
See you, Geralt. I
Alright, this concludes the 21 greatest story games of all time. I know that I haven't included the older consoles games, but I wanted to include the ones that can provide an all-out awesome experience along with a nice story. If I have missed any of your favorite games, then comment down below and I will surely include them in the next part of this video.